here we go. Jin Air on blue, Kongdoo Monster on red. Similar bans against Raze, Jarvan and Zach. They just want to force him onto something else. But the real question is, does Kongdoo ban out Zoe in the first round?
Chance Jin Air could ban it on blue side as well. If you consider that they've already banned away the two champions that Raze had played. We'll see where their priority goes. Galio ban was there in set 1. It will be there again in set 2. So, all right, suddenly we have to once again talk about that damn Zoe.
Oh boy.
It's up.
Here we go again. Gangplank is also available, as is Ezreal. We have a lot of different, this guy is trying to piece his sign together. Okay, Kalista is going to come through for Teddy. I like that pick.
Lost in all of the Zoe shenanigans in game 1 was how good a game Teddy had on the Kalista, so that's still going to be a priority pick, but you give up a lot. You give up Edge, returning to so far undefeated Zoe, and then the Kha'Zix also for Raze, so something a bit different. Was playing in solo queue pretty significantly, but while it's an aggressive champion, it's not a ganking champion, and tried to make the Shyvana work, did some creative things, but couldn't actually set the tone of his games, and it feels like when Kongdoo Monster win, it's with Raze setting the pace with smart ganks. We're still yet to be convinced of something like his Kha'Zix, as we're going to see Ornn and Ryze potentially going to be top and mid, but of course the flex pick on both of them.
Seems like kind of following the tier list from here. I kind of like Jin Air's position a little bit more. Kalista right now is just incredibly strong. Ornn with his ridiculously low cooldown, especially late game. And Ryze up at the top. Now they're going to begin to ban out some junglers because Raze took the Kha'Zix away from Umti. This time it's going to be up to Umti to, you know, play something a little bit out of the meta because a lot of stuff will be banned.
This season, Sejuani, Kha'Zix, Jarvan is 3, so well, as you say, have to go somewhere different. The Lee Sin he flashed in game 1 could certainly come back. Kongdoo Monster's sub-jungler Yujun was the only Lee Sin we've seen outside of Peanut, and yep, no Lee Sin either, so I wonder if we'll see something crazy. I love the Skarner from Spirit as a pick, but not necessarily a skill order. If it's locked in, we'll talk a bit more about that.
Yeah.
But you're right, we're going down the tier list here, Valdez.
Shyvana still available. That was the pick for Raze.
Braum's still available as well to answer the Ornn. Looking for a support pick as well on the red side. Or just counter pick for top lane. Unless they really want Gnar, that's seems to me a pretty decent choice.
Thinking about it. Mostly exactly about what you were talking about, and they will go for the Braum here, deciding, hey, let's take a look and get a counter pick for the top lane, even if he does take Gnar. Maybe Roach can try his hand at something else.
Wonder if they'll consider the Skarner here. So Umti is feeling the Jax was banned away in game 1 against Raze, but also it's been very popular recently in Korea. Less of a level 6 champion than the Skarner, so they're going to go for it here. 4-0 is undefeated so far, is the Jax pick. Saw it in the LPL recently as well, so other regions taking note. Europe and NA, I believe, also playing the Jungle Jax. Can go full tank or more offensive was Haru, who was going Trinity Force second item. And we talked about Gnar or Braum. Braum was the decision by Kongdoo Monster. That means that the Gnar draft here is pretty straightforward for So1.
Gonna send that Ornn down into the bottom lane, down to support. So now it's really up to Kongdoo to choose a matchup here up against the Gnar.
Maokai would be decent, obviously not necessarily for lane, but for team comp, and just to try to survive the lane. Jace would be the more aggressive choice, so would Vlad. But Vlad doesn't beat Gnar. Vlad actually loses to Gnar at least a little bit. He does straddle the line between carry and tank, at least he has a big health pool. Does mean that they have a pretty squishy lineup. Braum is the only true tank, and also the Vlad to be at least a threat in the back line. Interesting to really take stock of on both sides. I think Maokai would have been the more reliable choice because they already had Kha'Zix, Zoe, and Ezreal. But picking for lane, or at least picking for flanking. The flanking here can be very powerful. We've seen the Gnar matchup traditionally beat the Vlad. Spectre's Cowl into Black Cleaver can beat basically every Vlad build, but you get the right gank onto Vlad. You try and have Raze just set up a camp top lane and really train down the Gnar. Then anything's possible.
This is going to be a fun one. I'm curious to see how Edge can do on his Zoe. This time around, we saw how ridiculous it can get. In game number 1, we've seen Edge and his ridiculous play on the Zoe in the past. It was one of the keys for how they defeated KSV. But again, Teddy on the Kalista, very scary to get the Ornn once again. But this time, Kongdoo Monster have some answers. The Braum, really, really big pick for their team. But
this time Jin Air has massive engage against Zoe Ezreal. It's a true poke comp on the side of Kongdoo Monster. Here we have basically everyone as an initiator. So that's a lot of initiation to potentially shut them down. To me, if Kongdoo Monster can get a Baron, they can certainly win, because the siege with Ezreal and Zoe is insane. But otherwise, the synergy's not so much there. Vladimir has his own agenda. We know how the Zoe and the Ezreal will play. Where will Raze go, and can Raze actually have an impact on the game as a non-initiating champion? Traditionally, Kongdoo Monster have needed him on Zac or J4, so him to be on Kha'Zix is a change of pace.
Yeah, really testing him here. Let's jump into game number 2 and find out what happens. Let us begin game number 2. Jin Air really putting Raze to the test, but looking for Edge and Soul to pop off once again on the same 2 picks that they brought in against KSV to secure their victory.
BBQ Chicken wasn't here today, so the ad in the bottom right corner was trolling me.
We didn't get any chicken.
We have been spoiled.
I mean, you're going to get chicken.
Am I?
You work at both companies.
That's true. Well, I mean, I don't know for sure that OGN will have chicken again.
True. We've had a lot of BBQ here, so we don't have the evidence on the other side just yet. But I would have to guess, as a main sponsor, that whenever they play, they're going to bring their chicken to either studio.
Valdez, who will get the chicken dinner in this game? Which of these teams will come away with the victory between Jin Air and the team of Kongdoo Monster? Jin Air already 1-0 up, and our only real prediction pre-series was we felt like Jin Air had more different options than Kongdoo Monster did, and we thought the series would go long. And 3 games would certainly fulfill that prediction. When it comes to the draft here for Kongdoo Monster, just how to play it out. Outside of, well, we got Baron and started sieging and things went really well. With only 1 tank, with only the Braum as a true tank, it's going to be a bit tricky. They really need Vladimir to be a massive presence, so I think Raze has to find creative ways to get the Gnar behind. Otherwise, Kongdoo's Monster's draft will struggle.
We'll see if he can actually carry on a champ like Kha'Zix. I mean, we talk about how, or I said multiple times, how Ryze is a pick that every mid laner should know how to play 100%, and pretty much everybody does, but I feel like on the jungle side, Kha'Zix is another one of those, as well as guys like Sejuani. Jarvan, right, the top of the tier list. And he definitely knows how to play the Kha'Zix. We just don't have the proof yet. I would have to say that he will feel comfortable on a pick like this.
He played it a lot in solo queue, even when I was looking at his solo queue count on Jin Air when he role swapped over to jungle for the first time. Kha'Zix was predictably one of his most played. Again, I have no question about the mechanics, obviously pretty limited mechanics on Kha'Zix. It's all about, have they shown us that they can win a game where Raze not the initiator? And I would say no. I'd say that's been their big struggle. It's actually making drafts work. Statistically, they've never won a game unless J4 or Zac was on their side. So looking for something different from Raze. Decent game 1, but not enough to actually answer any of those questions.
Don't really need to look at bottom lane. 4 relic shields across the board. Of course, the Ezreal lane will have a little bit more trouble earlier on. Get slightly behind. MT coming in here, getting the Rift Scuttler.
Actually put a second point into Q. I wonder if he'll max that first, or if it's just for earlier mobility. Usually, it's the W max, just like lane jacks. Onto the Empower. Press the attack. Again, mentioned in game 1 when we had a Shyvana, but we have the only 2 press the attack meta champions right now in the Jungle Jax and the Jungle Shyvana. Does mean you can go very tanky on the builds, but ever since Haru went Trinity Force, we've seen more offensive builds from Jarvan. Still, sorry, from Jax. Still Cinderhulk first, though.
He's got some pretty fast clear. Taking a look at his runes, very similar to the Shyvana. Just a difference in the middle one.
It's going to be
precision tree.
Yeah, attack speed instead of lifesteal, basically, is the only difference in terms of the rune choices.
Ray's thinking about a gank. Grace, pretty low on mana, but they decided against it. He's playing very safe at the moment.
Love how Edge does a lot of these aggressive paddle stars and holds on them, doesn't feel the need to snap them instantly. A lot of mind games from Edge, who is one of our best Zoe players from his earlier performance on this champion. Made the competitive LCK debut of Zoe as well, right at the start of the season. Well, it's been kind of bizarre that a lot of teams have shown no priority on Zoe till very recently.
Yeah. We always, you know, we who had experience playing in solo queue, we all knew the feel of playing against Zoe for the first time.
It feels bad, man.
And the second time.
Feels bad,
and the
man.
third time.
It doesn't get any better.
And the fourth and fifth time. It's just like you get one shot so many times in a row and you're like, oh, well, I guess this champion is just in the game. There's nothing we can do about it.
I do like playing jungle and just relentlessly ganking the Zoe. That's fun.
That's a good idea. It's one way to solo queue your way to a victory against Zoe.
But in any other role, especially as a hapless support, it's a pretty bad time.
Well, I want to see more of Modest Thresh come in. We saw some pretty crazy Thresh. Thresh not really a big pick nowadays.
I think it's basically either you have Kalista Thresh or you just don't play Thresh. It's kind of your choices there, and you only really go Kalista Thresh if you need unbelievable security. To me, if you see a Kalista Thresh draw from a good team, okay, one rotation does hit here.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage. We are going to get the lockdown, but getting pretty low here is Jace. They decide not to go in. was a bit low on mana, too.
Kalista Thresh from a good team tells me I'm going to gank top a lot and ignore bot lane, as it's the ultimate safe lane.
Ray's having a little bit of trouble here.
He took a lot of extra autos there from the...
we're getting the
72.
zoom in.
The observer's on point. He's like, what could happen here? And so it doesn't mean death onto the Kha'Zix, so no immediate embarrassment. Haven't seen a jungler die to Krug since Peanut in the Kesper Cup.
Yeah.
That was on Jarvan, though, not the Kha'Zix. I definitely won't let him live that one down.
Yeah, every time you see Peanut, you're like, remember that time you died in Kesper Cup to the Krugs?
I actually sent him a private message because I have him on the client and said, man, those Grumps, so those Krugs have a lot of power, don't they? And he laughed. So, bit of banter, never hurt anyone.
Yeah, cheeky bants, as you guys like to call them.
Non-interactive. Bot lane, Ryze and Zoe getting their items here. They're good farm from Edge, who seems to be getting ignited a lot, so he just gets to ignite the Ryze randomly and take a bit of damage away from him.
It's pretty fantastic, actually. Just push him out of lane that much harder. By the way, the spellbook is unsealed today for Kalista, both times for Teddy. No lethal tempo, just wants to farm up as fast as possible.
Yeah, it's first time in Korea we've seen that. Internationally, it feels like every 80 carry's been run with Spellbook at some point. There was, I think it was Sneaky for C9 that ran Spellbook Kalista this weekend, so. Yeah, and if you can take it, which is basically every 80 carry, then why not? Only Kleptomancy in 8.1 will stop that, and 8.2, who knows, with the Kleptomancy nerf largely targeting Ezreal, I would say, over other abuse cases.
It's an interesting idea because what we saw Teddy do last game was heal into teleport into cleanse later on, because once you have cleanse on a Kalista and that much cover, the double shields, it's going to be so hard for any team to lock you down. They're going to need multiple forms of engage.
It's better than QSS, right? Still has the CC reduction. And then you consider what it meant for the build. Teddy was 3,000 gold up and didn't have to spend 1,250 gold of that onto a QSS. He could just turn it from the summoner spell. So he's actually, relative to other Kalistas, more accelerated than you would expect.
It's a really good point, actually, when you think about it, because the amount of gold and also the item slot. You know, you want a more aggressive item, as you were talking about, and you can get it anytime you want as well.
Face check by Raze onto Umti.
We've seen a lot of Kazakhs' face checking. I don't know what that's about, but
it's because you're invisible.
They love their brushes.
You're invisible with the R evolve first, so you feel like you're ready to go, but as you say, been used against them largely recently. And Kalista, even against non-suppressed champions, was always play the Ruin King, Hurricane, QSS situational. So yeah, it is interesting to think about this move to the flexibility of the cleanse, and it's something that even after the inevitable spellbook nerfs, the cooldown reduction will probably go at some point, but the whole point of it is flexibility. So flexibility for AD carries is always something they crave and something that a rune choice can really give them. We're getting to the oomph territory, by the way.
For you guys who are joining the game a little bit late, yes, Zoe did not get banned, and it did get picked second, actually, behind the Kalista. So it's a little bit of extra information if you're just joining us.
We like playing with fire here in the LCK, leaving open stuff, even against Edge, one of our best mid lane Zoes, and Grace, who just carried on Zoe. It didn't get first picked, but I think Teddy's Kalista was one of the unsung heroes of game one. So Jin are basically in Teddy we trust as a mantra, so why not?
It's interesting to see a generic game where the focus isn't on Teddy. As you say, it was definitely unsung hero in game number one, behind the Zoe. But no doubt he will have a higher carry role in this game.
We'll see So1 going for the build I mentioned, which is Spectre's Cowl first into Black Cleaver. Then when you hit 5 points in your Hyper and your W, the trade patterns only get better for the Gnar. Gnar can actually solo kill a Vlad if the lane is long enough. Usually when turrets are up, it's not, but the fact that Gnar actually has chase potential through pool is the reason why the Gnar is so strong against the Vladimir. It's still to be decided, still coming in the future.
Look at the build that Grace went for, going for the Abyssal Mask. Afterwards, I think that's a no-brainer against the Zoe.
I mean, he's against Zoe Vlad, so he's even getting the extra benefit of being against double AP and itemizing so cleanly into magic resist. No doubt So1 will build an adaptive helm at some point.
Surprise Kazakhs, forcing the cleanse coming out here. They were thinking about going on to Edge, but he had his cleanse and flash available. Good decision by Umti not to go in there.
Ray spotted by Umti. Still going to face check. Umti gives no cares about his former teammate.
Wants revenge. Sleeping Trouble Bubble is going to land here. This is a small bit of damage. Edge actually getting a bit low. Might consider a back sometime soon here.
There's a lot of magic resist already complete between Merc Treads and a Negatron Cloak. This is spotted, so Umti is in a ward. Doesn't take a lot of damage from Drake and can use Counter-Strike. No points in W, so Q into E max. New thing from the Jungle Jacks.
Yeah, quite interesting. Wraith doing a good job zoning, and because Zoe did go home, this is going to be a nice little Drake pickup. Mountain Drake for Jin Air. Again, with the Kalista here. It's going to be pretty nice for them.
Only real excitement to talk about after teleport into lane comes through from the Kalista. Already play the Ruin King, so nice item timing there. No slouch from Soul, nothing to speak of between the two. A lot of stopwatches on the side of Kongdoo Monster this game as Exhaust was picked up by Edge.
Oh, that's so rough. Sometimes you just got to take it against Zoe, right? He didn't have his cleanse, he gets hit. You're like, well, I guess I'm losing half my health.
Laning against Zoe is very much the on-fire dog saying this is fine.
Not really saying that you're fine. Oh, nice accuracy there.
He could be done here.
The minion's got in the way, though. Grace going to have a little bit of damage to return. Thankfully, the Trouble Bubble cooldown not fully off. He's only level 11.
Grace.
Here comes Kazakhs, though. He should be able to get this one. Grace all alone there. Nice little rune prison. And Umti gonna find him in the jungle. Nice flash prediction. He's gonna catch him there. He's gonna try to flash the wall, but in comes Umti, and that's gonna be first blood. Over to Umti on the Jax. Fantastic follow-up being there for the kill.
Very smart of Umti also to start with the flash because Q is targeted, and they already had vision in the brush if he flashed over the wall. Heads up, really cool stuff from Umti there, picking up the kill. Turret dive timing was clean, but the minion line again denied a kill. If the minions were not there, he would have been isolated, would have died to a single Q. Wasn't isolated, didn't die. First blood to Jiner.
MT immediately goes to the Rift Herald, and we saw Roach and Edge collapse, but eventually, with Sohan coming down, didn't want to take the 2v2. So they will get this one up with no vision. MT will get another objective.
So the minion line interrupted Grace's death, and the minion line is there again. Minions versus Kongdoo Monster. So far, the winner is Minions. They already have vision over the wall. So with the targeted Q available, 4 points in it, knows enough burst damage. Nice stuff from Umti. Also have the Rift Herald now. I imagine that kill will also propel Umti to go carry build, which is always cool to see. The full tank was Malrang style. He was the one who debuted the Jungle Jacks in Korea. No longer in Korea. Left Everate winners after their relegation, now over in the TCL. Still playing with Septid, his old mid laner. In Turkey. Seeing the back here. Let's see if it is to be the tank build. I see a Sheen.
Coming on into Grace here. He's got the TLP down. Ray's still considering it. Forced to burn his flash once again, as the Sleepy Trouble Bubbles are on point.
Even with huge magic resist, not enough, as Ray's trying to control the bot side jungle. Jack's here with a Sheen, so Edge is required for the backup.
He's gonna take a big chunk here, but no real follow-up. You can see that Raze is hanging around. He's got some deep wards in here, looking for the Jax, but MT very smartly decides not to go in.
He's still got the Rift Herald buff, so he does have the empowered recall, so no need for him to necessarily risk anything. Junglers have not visited top lane at all, as you can see by the heat map on the bottom of the screen. Been just a free lane, and that means that Sohan has hit his item timings and will continue to be very, very competitive against the Vladimir.
And a lot of roaming from the bottom lane of Kongdoo coming towards mid. Even the Ornn and Sohan making their way towards mid, but nothing to come of it. Game's still very even. MT just looking for a place to lay down the Rift Herald. Is about halfway done before it gets pushed away.
See which turret he wants to crash. Usually you want to play around recall timings as a jungler. That's why it's so important that Raze did some extensive warding in the bot side, because makes the Jax pathing more predictable. Teleport to bot lane should be exciting, but that's just an unsealed spellbook.
Poor teleport. It's become so common now. Not the star summoner it used to be.
I'm sure Marin's tilted that he retired just before he could teleport all day and all night.
Yeah. Every champion, every role, unsealed spellbook.
We've been denied Ignite Cannon, which is always sad.
I'm not sad about that. Raze jumping away. MT finds him again, and he's got Ornn for the support. That's going to be another kill. Going over to MT on his Jax jungle, finding a lot of success on this pick.
Yeah, 2 kills now, both on the enemy jungler, on the Kha'Zix, who we know wants to snowball. And snowball his opponent into a Trinity Force and into outscale. Here's the Rift Herald. No jungler to respect. The charge should basically one-shot it. Second auto will do the rest of the work. Let's check for the one-shot. Boom, we get it. First target of the game, the first 2 kills. Umti having quite the game so far.
Yeah, he's looking pretty good. 2-0, first blood. The only 2 kills on his team. Let's see what he decides to go into. Trinity Force looking to be next, but he's going to be a terror to deal with. I was thinking about the Jax into Kha'Zix. It's interesting because Shyvana had a lot more trouble dealing with the leap, but if you've got a leap of your own, there's no real way for the Kha'Zix to get away.
It's why Jungle Jax is attractive, is if you think back to what the kit has. The Counter-Strike helps with AoE camps, also the level 1 means you're going to be high health. Your passive gives you attack speed, so with Machete being stronger than it was last year, you're able to clear the single target camps very, very fast. And the item build is kind of whatever your team needs. Do you need to be a threat? Are you going to start a tank and build damage later? In the team fights, you're still able to anti-carry once you get CDR, which kind of falls over into every item you build out of the jungle, the Trinity Force as well. You can get off 2 Counter-Strikes in a fight. And we saw Haru carry late game fights, running at people as Jax, and Zoe can't do much. Ezreal even can't do much. He has mobility to answer champions like Ezreal. So in a fight, he's either killing or trivializing enemy carries. So the fact that he can kind of do everything pretty decently and late game is a beast makes Jax a very attractive jungle pick.
Well, you mentioned 4-0. Maybe we'll see 5-0. We have a big fight up in the top lane. Raze looking to punish here, but can't really do much. You've spoken a bit about that other jungle pick of Kha'Zix. If you get behind, and being 0-2 at this point is definitely pretty far behind.
Yeah, 20 minutes not to have your completed serrated Dirk items, something like the Duskblade, which is pretty common here. You are significantly far behind. Also saw that the trades for So1 were going very comfortably. It was only when the jungle attention was there they had to pull away. Doesn't go for the Adaptive Helm, goes for the Spirit Visage. So pushing the cooldown reduction early in the game. Is a bit more magic resist as well. Actually might be even now. There was a time when Spirit Visage had more, but it was adjusted since All-Star.
Whatever helps against Zoe Vlad will be the best item. Spirit Visage, the choice here. Soul doing his best to push back the lanes now. Remember that we do have the Kalista with Blade of the Rune King and a Mountain Drake, so Jin Air in very much control of this game, about 2,500 gold ahead.
Gone for barrier as well, has Teddy. Instead of going for cleanse this game, he's gone for the barrier at least early. Idea is that Vladimir is going to be there at some point, and barrier is the single most damage prevention of any of the defensive summoners. So another different choice. I'm sure cleanse will be opted into at some point, but for now, happy with the barrier and just hanging back and not hitting a trouble bubble.
Grace's Rise, so he's just going to get out of there. Was poking the turret. No need for a stopwatch, still has that available.
Degree to which is beating his old substitute is to the tune of 10 jungle camps and 2 kills, so he is monstrously ahead right now.
He's got to be feeling pretty happy. Pretty obvious MVP pick if Jin Air does continue down this path and he begins to pop off.
So far so good. Certainly the mantra for trying to push up vision. Like you say, the Baron threat, it's 21 minutes and you know the enemy team is pretty confident that you will turn to Baron at every opportunity, but at least baiting it is the right choice. Speaking of baiting, Wraith and walking up at least.
Certainly thinking about a play, but the bottom lane of Kongdoo now up in top, playing it very safely. Just on their hind legs at the moment.
Just trying to answer vision. Correct play at all points for Jin Air is to threaten Baron and then kind of shake the tree and see what shakes out. What Kongdoo Monster do, try to force vision back into the game, what they try to do to deny a Baron start. A Zoe trouble bubble at some point will be involved there, no doubt. Not sure if we'll see Grace levels of burst this game from Edge, but who knows? He's free farmed at least.
He's got to be feeling pretty good. Already 2 items, 23 minutes. He's got Ghost on his W. Make a play happen. Looks like he just used it. But yeah, the Zoe is always an option. Maybe it's not going to be one-shotting a Jax per se, but the Kalista, which will be another very big pick for the late game, who has the most farm out of anyone in this game. Definitely an option for your one-shot.
We should probably track how many games Teddy has the most farm in the game, win or loss, because it's most of them. His farm numbers this season have been outrageously high, as we outlined in the match graphic before we started. Trinity Force also complete onto 23 minutes into the game, so monstrously powerful himself. Confirmation of the build. So all about CDR on the Counter-Strike second, and the mobility of the Q in and Q out, I guess, is the thought there from Counter-Strike, after they gave it cooldown buffs a long time ago now, but last time Edge was, Jax was in the meta, very, very low cooldown at 40% CDR. He's at 30% right now.
See that Umti and the crew are trying their best to get some deep vision on the red side, but Kongdoo have done a very nice passive job of just sitting back around that one control ward in that one brush, and they've controlled a nice piece of land on the rift around that area for now. And it's part of the reason why Jin Air is not comfortable to go for any kind of Baron steals or anything like that. Also the fact that the mid tier 1 and top tier 1 are still available. We are going to have a fight here though, as a TP coming in from Roach is going to send out the spooky ghost. He's a little bit far behind, but we got an engage now from Teddy, and Raid trying to get in there. Roach may have bitten off a little bit more than he could chew. He's getting extremely low. He's going to stopwatch to see if he can actually get out of dodge on this one. The answer is no. Trying to fight back now though. Raid a little bit low. Soul still very high on health. Look at the low health on everybody on the side of Jin Air. We got an Ezreal on the side trying to get in there. He's going to take out one. He's going to almost take out two. Dodges the Q. Ray's going to be able to follow up there. So they get 2 kills for 1 as Jin Air goes a little bit too deep. Yeah,
you could say that for both sides though, starting with Roach being too aggressive and then ending with the members of Jin Air not disengaging earlier. Throughout all of this, Grace found Edge in the enemy jungle and stopped the Zoe from rotating, so it was 4v4 action the entire time. Kongdoo Monster come out with their nose ahead. Does allow them to clear some vision, actually push up the minion wave. Ends up being a pretty even trade all in all.
Let's see what happens when any AD carry is given that much room. His positioning was pretty perfect throughout.
So one important thing is that Secret uses his Unbreakable very early to almost no threats. It doesn't have it in the fight. As the fight goes on, when Roach goes down, it'd be very easy to say, well, that's one and done. Nice stun into the wall, but turret diving there is so on. They can just fully back away here, but because they start taking turret shots and Umti moves up, Umti kind of baits the team in because it is Gauntlet Ezreal. Soul has many different wide hitbox members to hit, so takes them down easily. Speaking of members to hit in the picture-in-picture, Wraith is just dead.
Looks like he got caught warding up towards Baron, and all of a sudden, Kongdoo looking pretty decent in this one. They win the fight, they get the vision, they get a pick, and now they're coming in towards the mid lane. They get that first tier turret. Let's see what else they can grab.
Turning onto Baron right now, probably risky. A lot of damage dealers on the side of Kongdoo Monster, so not impossible, but they don't have many control wards in the area. They have a lot of vision, but not control vision. Blue buff was actually rendered away by Teddy, all in all. The Q smite from Raze was interrupted by that rend. They also take the mid lane outer turret. So a bit out against the rate of play, even though it's a 1,400 gold lead for Jin Air GreenWings. Teddy turning on to Soul.
Soul gets out of there. We got Umti slowed up. Can Q away.
I'm really becoming a bigger and bigger fan of the Unsealed Spellbook Callista because you go double lifesteal item, Hurricane, Cleanse or the barrier, and you're so hard to burst that you can live in fights. Speaking of hard to burst.
Ooh, Grace, he's gonna get locked up here by the Kha'Zix. 2-on-1. Sleepy Trouble Bubble might end his life. Nice little stopwatch here. He's gonna try to turn it around. He gets raised. What a play. Dodges the Trouble Bubble here. He's got his own shield. Can he actually win the 1v2? So close. At the end of it all, Edge even had the Zhonya's on his W, but gets the extra flash in the end. Definitely will help out. What a close fight.
Holy crap, did Grace do more in that fight than expected? He's clearly frustrated after his hard outplay of first Raze and almost Edge as well. But he might have done enough, even with Control Ward down. They're starting up Baron.
Yes, they are. Look at Zoe's Summoner's Teleport Cleanse. Gonna forego the flash for now. Zoe coming in and will save the day. No Baron for you just yet, Jin Air.
Only scenario in the history of League of Legends where Teleport Cleanse was acceptable. Solo queue people know what I'm talking about. If you ever see it in the loading screen, it's a bad time.
Of course.
But it was actually useful for Edge to fully on disengage. Teddy just queues over.
Very confidently here. Knockup is gonna miss him. Edge, he's not super scary yet, but beginning to do a nice bit of damage, even to Ray.
Roach is not accounted for. It's hard for Jin Air, even 5v4, to threaten Baron because Vladimir, in all of this, has gotten a lot of farm, and with Void Staff can do a lot of damage. We're going to get the replay here. Let's talk about what happened here between Grace and Edge. First little bit of damage doesn't do much. He's got a lot of magic resist, we already know. Raze comes in. It's not isolated for the start of it. It gets so low, I think it's all over. Realm Warp this entire time, by the way, is on cooldown, so he can't just stopwatch and get out. Turns on, gets his first shield, and the moment that he sidesteps, flashes away, you wonder if this is going to be one of the greatest outplays we've seen in recent history. Damn, if it was not close.
Unbelievably close. Merc Tread's really helping him out. It's what gave him that split second to stopwatch. Otherwise, he would have been locked down by the bubble, and he obviously would have died to the Paddle Star. But MVP in the Merc Treads, at least in that moment in the fight.
Ray's still in the Charlie Brown territory of nothing going his way.
Yeah.
Very far back in items. Going for a bit of team utility into the Black Cleaver, just a phage to show for it. Umti is slowed down a lot, still farming, but not being able to get kill involvements means that its very expensive build so far is curtailed. Working his way on Asterix Gauge to have the tenacity to complement his Ninja Tabi.
I like the idea. Has some threat potential, but also a bit tanky at the same time.
Hyper doing magic damage helps a lot against Roach. Percentage health magic damage, and when he goes into eventual Zonias, you would imagine, could just be Death Cap, but if he goes for a Zonias, still not negating the hyper damage, makes now relevant against Vladimir at basically every point in the lane post 2 items.
Yeah, that push always going to be in favor of Soan. Did go Summoner Airy this time around. No fleet footwork. Game 2. The Vlad just desperately tries to clear these waves. Still a lot of vision around the Baron. Still having a fight here. Was thinking maybe Soan would go in with the Mega Gnar. That was not the case.
Against a Vladimir with Ghost Flash. Usually a date with death yourself, so probably smart to not push his luck too hard. Teddy's still going for maximum damage disruption on maximum damage absorbed with the 2 shields. Now another shield in the Hex Drinker, and also the Overshield. So he's got a lot of shields here.
Even if he gets caught, he might not die. Unless it's a Zoe.
Does he die through barriers? The question we want to know is Umti certainly dies to any further damage here.
Zoe's back, ladies and gentlemen. She's not going anywhere.
I don't know if she ever left. She just didn't always show up.
Yeah. She was just taking a break during the commercial break, but she's here. She's got redemption, by the way. Seeing the fun stuff Zoe can do with that. Not necessarily at level 18.
The LPL clip where she kills an enemy jungler with redemption at level 3 is perhaps the most maddening Zoe thing of all time. And we've had our own maddening Zoe moment today.
We have. We've also had a Zoe TP onto a ward and get in there and backdoor. But that was more of a unsealed spellbook maddening moment.
That was the one PogChamp Zoe moment we've had in a while.
Yeah.
Edge's team fighting a couple of days ago was good too.
We'll probably have a lot more until she gets nerfed. Keep in mind that on 8.2, not nerfed is Zoe, nor is Stopwatch. So a couple of questions raised by the community. But either way, well, this is part of the reason.
Proto Belt there was also from a minion. In case you were wondering, no space in the item build for the Proto Belt.
Wraith even flashes the wall. Besides, I just want to get out of here. He's going to eat some Zoe damage on his way out. Umti now is going to get locked down. Jumps away to a ward, but that's going to be another chunk down here. That means that Wraith and Umti potentially pushed out of the fight. They're signaling for Baron. Here we go.
They're going to start it. They have Roach also who can teleport in. Has 1 deep ward near where Wraith is on the minimap. They back away as Callistus is pushing in mid lane though. Surprised to see them dissuaded so early, but there was a lot of members of Jin Air and they knew that Jax didn't recall.
Yeah, had they seen the recall and maybe a more passive Jin Air that was a bit playing a bit more scared in that moment, maybe they would have stayed on, but I think it's smart. They don't want to take the risk too early. They have a nicely fed Ezreal. Zoe's popping off. They still have Vlad, who's doing decently.
Wraith is checking the Baron. Didn't have vision of it. Just happens to catch Kha'Zix. The more bad luck Charlie Brown moments for Raze this game, the more amusing.
Poor guy. Feels bad, man.
I'm waiting for him to die to a Scorch proc to really just, you know, end his misery.
Yeah.
The gold lead was certainly rolling in for Jin when Umti picked up 2 kills on the enemy jungler and they started to get rolling, but slowed down more recently.
Yeah, definitely a very even game at this point. Drake's heavily in favor of Jin, double Mountain Drake, but even so, Kongdoo not in a bad spot. They have so much pick potential. Poke potential, of course.
Teddy's very frustrated. He can't find another shield item. Maybe we'll get a Banshee Veil for the shield.
I wouldn't recommend it, Papa.
I wouldn't recommend it either, but he does have 4 shields right now.
Is there another item? What about Sterix?
That's true, but it's only melee, so
okay.
The old Wraith special, I should say Wraith, Stitch special when he was on Samsung was the Sterix Gauge. Kalista no longer possible. But a lot of shields, maybe some Guardian Angel.
How about Death's Dance?
Sure. That's a fun item.
Definitely very fun. You never see it pretty much ever.
Good Graves solo queue item.
Yeah.
But not in competitive play, like you mentioned.
Well, we got Elder spawning. Things bound to pick up in terms of the action as teams begin to make decisions about which objective they want to play towards.
Very neutral vision for both sides. One advanced ward for Kongdoo Monster, some shallow vision for Jin, but because it's Zhonya's rise, he does get the chance to push up a bit further than other champions. The gold lead also very, very close. 2,000 gold between the two teams. And that sweet hat is there for the Zoe, which we already know what that could mean. Doesn't have an Orin to amplify it into a mega hat, but there's going to be plenty of damage coming from the pick factory in Zoe. 543 AP, a far cry from the 749 we saw in the previous game.
She'll get there.
I have faith too.
Someday, somehow. But we're all sitting near level 18. At least for 2 members on both sides. The 2 solo laners. Teddy getting close though.
This game is one where Vladimir has had so little impact that you're kind of primed for a Roach play around Baron that could really take you by surprise. Imagine 10% more damage for Zoe. That could be fun.
Oh, please. We're having a start here, but
there's
a blue
really good teleport wards. The reason why you'll see them starting is there's a lot of teleport wards around the blue buff area for Jin for Roach to look for that teleport play.
Soan is soloing the Elder right now.
He's spotted by the spooky ghosts from the Frost Queen's claim, so we'll back away.
Nice steal there by Edge. Takes it away from the Rise.
And Kongdoo Monster straight back to the Baron. They feel like their turn here can be powerful. Secret is the only one who can take the Baron. They do start to fall low, and the Ornn ultimate's enough to stop it.
Secret gets knocked up by the Baron. TP goes down by Soan
Vladimir.
And canceled the flank that we see so often from Vladimir players in LCK. Oh, they're going to begin again. Raze is a little bit low. Umti waiting in the wings here. Looking for the steal. Are they really going to go for the 50-50 here? That's the real question. Are they going to turn? In comes Teddy now. He's going to actually, Secret disappears. Roach gets stunned and just disappears off the map now. That's going to be a 3-man ultimate from Soan. So might get out of here, but that is just an entire team decimated in an instant.
Man, Soan's ability to end that fight with a plum was huge. Excellent. Flash Nara right at the end there. Soan building a reputation as the starter. Kongdoo Monster knew what they wanted to do, but then they overforced it after they'd already used the teleport from their Vlad. They tried to play one lane, they tried to force. Jin still has free farmed Rise, free farmed Kalista. Look at how much they get just pushing up mid.
Double Mountain Drake, they decide against trying to end the game. They'll just go for the free Baron and go from there. They've already gotten such a huge lead. Getting a look at Umti here. Definitely a big part of that one as he jumped in and got a nice stun follow-up.
Free Baron gonna come through as well. Kongdoo Monster running straight for the Elder. Trying to at least pick up something. It's only a denial Elder if they can get it. And Ezreal will take a long, long time. So he's gonna leash it and back away. Wits End, the final item for Teddy. I wouldn't have taken that one in the pool. The betting pool would definitely be refreshed for another day. No one would have predicted the Wits End on the Kalista. She is about as tanky as can be. 149 magic resist, thanks to the Wits End MR.
Wow.
Plus 800 shields. Does mean Ryze does more damage, so a team item as well with the magic resist reduction on auto attack.
Yeah, along with the Abyssal Mask, add a little bit of percentage damage in there. We are going to see this Elder Drake taken away very easily by Jin Air here. Not much that Kongdoo can do, just desperate true shot barrage coming through against the Kalista.
And now Wraith just ults, and they, if they stick around, it doesn't matter how much Vladimir's adding. The 3-stack Elder Dragon, 30% extra damage to structures. They die in an instant. Not many options left for Kongdoo Monster. Jin Air can either zone or dive, but they're going to keep pushing. That part is for certain.
We might actually see Zoe lose a game here in interesting fashion. You know, she was looking very strong, but in a fight where your entire team just disappears, not much that you can do alone. You're not given enough time to consistently poke over and over.
No, I mean, because they were the ones that decided there was no time.
Yeah.
Kongdoo Monster were the team in a rush. That's the surreal part, is the whole play style is have the Braum tank it, try to turn with a trouble bubble, and if not, abort. Instead, they extra invested because they'd already used the teleport from the Vladimir. These comps that only run one tank. Remember, only a single tank here in the Braum means that Kha'Zix is low from the start. Braum dies instantly. The Vladimir is separated. Too much engaged, but watch So1 at the end. The AoE, the understanding that they would get all three members there, the scoop was insane from So1. Match-winning play, perhaps. Certainly the one to cap off what was a good passage for Jin Air. The Kongdoo Monster rushed themselves. That's the kind of worry, is that they had a lot more time than they seem to know.
Well, this is the inevitable Baron and Elder Drake push. Jin Air looking so strong in this best-of-3 series against Kongdoo so far. And we haven't even gotten to a point in the game where Teddy was really unlocked and was forced to carry his team. In both games, first one he had Zoe popping off with the one-shots and all that good stuff. This game, he's got, you know, So1 and Empty to just do the fantastic engages, and he's kind of just there, you know?
Is there a better news story for a Jin Air fan that Teddy didn't have to hard carry them to a victory, though? The fact that it's a team effort means so much for Jin Air. They don't need to only put all their eggs in the Teddy basket. Teddy's had a good series, too.
Oh, Roach almost got hit by the...
He's dead.
Oh, wow.
He diced the burn.
Yeah.
Diced the burn on the true damage, actually.
Well, that's really unfortunate for Kongdoo. This game is getting out of hand. They're going to lose 3 inhibitors, trying to go for the desperate kill onto So1. They want to save 1 inhibitor if they possibly can, but not looking so good for them at this point.
The healing, the damage, or the percentage health reduction on the W, actually relevant for once because of the true damage burning all the way through the pool. Means he goes down. Jin Air want to close it right here. They want the 2-0.
Should be able to. Nice little Orin ultimate. Gonna hatch 3 on both directions. This time, Teddy given a nice bit of room to just do damage in the front line. Not much else that Kongdoo can do. Chomping away at this last turret. They want to add some more kills. I'm sure Umti does as he's jumping on in. Zoe trying to save this one. Trying to burst down the last few members, but it's not going to be enough. Braum gets taken out. That's the 2-0 victory. Jin Air looking so strong today. What a couple of games from this lineup.
And Valdez, a big agenda point for week 3 of the LCK was how good are some of these teams in the middle of the pack who are 2-2. Kongdoo Monster and Jin Air only had a bit of game score to separate them. Which one is better? We get a resounding answer. The answer is the Jin Air GreenWings. This season, these players are really taking it to the next level. So1 smiling on your screen, beasting it on Gnar and the Baron fight. Grace in the mid lane, having a much better series in this particular game as well. So congratulations to Jin Air GreenWings. They did excellently, and they deserve their victory.
That's, I mean, I'm getting hyped about Jin Air, Papa.
Oh,
I have to say.
That's dangerous.
I didn't say the E word, okay? I'm getting hyped. They're looking just so good. They give Kongdoo Zoe, and they're like, huh, whatever, dude.
You know what the worrying thing is for Kongdoo Monster? They got the Zoe, they lost. Raze had both his picks taken away, they lost. The second part is more important. The scientific formula, exactly, the scientific formula that identified was, if he's not an initiator, can they win? The answer seems to be no. So Sejuani, Zach, and the Jarvan all accounted for. He hasn't played the Sejuani, but it fits in the same cap. When he's on the damage heads, when he's on the Shyvana, and in this game, the very high presence Kha'Zix that is considered one of these must pick and ban junglers, it isn't the same. So I think teams need to learn from this, that Raze needs to be the one starting the fights. He needs to be the team fight general, because when he's not, it seems like Kongdoo Monster don't win.
As we go along, you know, people were getting excited for Kongdoo after they 2-0'd KSB, but again, it was against a Haru lineup, and they hadn't found the key to defeating Kongdoo, perhaps. It always happens this way in the beginning of seasons, where teams are still feeling out the other teams, trying to figure out what their weaknesses are. As this goes along, everybody's predictions of Kongdoo as a weaker team in Korea might come true as their weaknesses become more exposed.
Both games, Galio, Jarvan, and Zac are banned. Only Galio of those is a normal ban, and not on blue and red side. They banned all three on blue and red side and said, we'll take the best of whatever you can take from the meta picks, the Zoe, the Ezreal, the high tier picks. As long as you don't have these champions, we can beat you. It reminds me of 2 years ago when Afrika could only win if Mickey popped off on Twisted Fate or Zed. So teams just started 3-banning Mickey, and Afrika couldn't win. I think maybe we're in a similar stage with Kongdoo Monster. Raze still needs time. He's still, again, adapting to being a starting jungler. But right now they need to diversify who is the initiator. This no initiation, no tankiness comp from them. When they went the Kha'Zix, they didn't go for the Maokai, which we said could have given them some options from the top side. They got too tricky for their own needs, and in the end, it did not work out.
Maokai definitely could have been a strong force in the top lane just to help deal with some of the front-end damage that Jenner had. The Vladimir was not very impressive in this game. Just kind of just disappeared off the rift.
There was nothing for him to flank. That was his problem, is that you need control ultimates to actually buy time for Vladimir to slowly amble his way into a fight and actually get the Hemoplague. Hemoplague was not relevant in this game. Zoe did lose, so the catharsis for the people out there who haven't enjoyed playing against Zoe does come to a lot of damage dealt, but in the end, not actually going to be significant damage.
Well, I think we have a good idea of who the MVP is going to be in this game. Like, the Ryze did a lot of damage. Kalista didn't really do much, as I said before. They didn't have to rely on Teddy, but Sohan, man, that was some pretty significant Gnar play. You were talking about him in the mid game, where it's like, wow, this guy is beginning to pop off in the top lane. And it is going to be Sohan with a 3-0-4, the fantastic follow-up engage afterwards. This guy is looking better and better every time.
You know, a lot of people have been picking Gangplank into Gnar and saying, we know it's a bad matchup, you can survive it. I don't think picking Vladimir into Gnar is smart. I think that Gnar, at basically every point, runs away with the matchup, even itemizes so cleanly against the Vladimir. Got the solo kill, big assist to the Elder Dragon at that point, but still, is always going to have pressure. The Vladimir could never breathe. Vladimir wasn't against an Orin where he can just kind of push in and roam and then teleport out. You can't actually wave clear in the face of a Gnar because he attacks you 3 times and you actually lose relevant amounts of HP. So congratulations to both of them.
Yeah, so guys, we are going to head over to the interview once again so you guys can enjoy it. Looks like we have some more props for the Jenner players over there. But either way, guys, we'll hand it over to Caster Sung for the interview.
For your translation, and here we have Grace and Sohan for the interview. Congratulations. First, shouldn't we say Yaharong to each other as a greeting? Well, your former ID was Yaharong, right? Why did you change it? Everyone says that I'm just too into NM, so I just changed it into Grace. So back in the days when you search up for Yaharong on the internet, there was only NM pictures, but right now we can find out you on the internet. A lot of people have been expecting a lot from your performance. How was today's game? I think I got great picks for me, so I performed well.
네. 저는 그 그레이 선수가 쳐다봤었을 때, 우리를 봤었을 때, 야, 내 최고의 플레이는 오늘 뭐라고?
Then what was the best play from today? When we were pushing the top lane, I just knocked out Ezreal with my Q.
이게 계산이 되는 거예요? 이거 어떻게 생각했어요?
Did you know that you were gonna kill him? Well, I was just trying to poke, but he just got picked off. But I actually could expect it because he didn't have a lot of magical damage protection items and stuff. Then how do you rate Zoe as a champion? I think Zoe gives a lot of pressure when she lends her skill shots.
옆에 있는 소환이 지금 떨고 있습니다. 지금 왜 이렇게 떨고 있는지.
Then let's move on to Sohwan.
생일 축하드리겠습니다.
감사합니다.
네, 소환 선수도 이제 오늘 어떻게 보면은 이번 시즌 출발 자체가 이제 묵직하게 이제 주전으로서
Now you are the starting member of your lineup.
부담감이 되는 이런 스피드
Do you feel any pressure?
저는 부담감이 되긴 하는데
Well, it does give me pressure, but
그렇기 때문에 그건 좋은 것 같아요.
it also helps me to develop myself. So I think it's really good.
지난번에 94분 경기에 있었을 때 그때 오른에 정점 찍었다. 완전 뭔가 제대로 된
And last time when you played against SK Telecom, you did great performance with your Ornn.
이거 우리가 소환을 봐야 되는 거 아니야?
So right now, people are expecting a lot more from you.
많이 부족한데 그렇게 봐주시면 좋은 것 같아요.
I think I still need to get improved, but it really helps me, does kind of cheering for me, so I think it's really good.
보통 최근에 이제 막 큰 얘기도 많이 나오고 오늘 큐베도 멋진 장면들도 있었고.
You know, there are a lot of famous and stronger top laners in LCK like Khan and QV.
들수 있을 것 같아요. 그렇죠?
네.
어때? 좀 목표가 생길 수 있을 것
So what is your goal for the split?
탑라이너들의 목표긴 한데 저는 항상 따라잡으려고 할 거고
Just like other top laners, I want to be as good as them, and I will be.
이런 야망이 있어야지 경기를 풀어내는 과정에 있어서 팀에게 도움이 되는 거 아니겠습니까?
네, 당연하죠.
그러니까
Those kind of ambition is really important as a pro gamer, right?
원장은 소환 선수, 특히 그 전반적인 오른 플레이에 대해서 팬들이
Then let's talk about your Ornn.
특히 그 오른의 그 강점에 대해서 소환 플레이를 보면서 느꼈다는 분들이 굉장히 많이 계시거든요.
네.
본인 생각하는 그
What are the strong points of
오늘
Ornn?
강점은 라인전이 일단 무난히 강하거든요.
I think he's really good in the laning phase, and also the cooldown for the ultimate is really good right now. So I think it's an OP.
오늘 그 나르는 어땠어요? 나르의 선택이 있었어요.
Then what about Nar?
일단 오늘 굉장히 화려한 그 장면들도 많이 나왔었고 마지막에 벽으로 빵하는 그 장면
You showed a lot of great performance with your Nar today also.
나르는 그냥 혼자서 할 수 있는 챔피언?
I think Nar is a champion that you can make plays in game by yourself.
센데?
Well, it's strong, but it doesn't have a lot of strength either. Just
네.
it's strong, but it doesn't contribute to the team really that much.
누구한테 뒤져지지 않겠다. 나는 그런 챔피언이 있다면 누가 있을까요?
Then which champion are you
모든
best at?
이렇게 해야 되긴 하는데
Well, I have to be best player for every champions, but to pick one,
저는 리븐으로
I want to pick Riven.
리븐?
네.
리븐 옆에서 갑자기 그랬어. 리븐 게스트인데 근데 본인은 아니라고 하고
네,
있는데
약간 이상한 것 같긴 한데
네.
딱히 정해놓은 건 없는데 저는 다 잘할 거라서
I'm gonna be a best player for every champion, so.
소환이
But yeah, I'll pick Riven.
어떤 플레이인지 기억나요?
Then let's check out the best play
다른 쪽에서 벽에
of today's match from Sohwan.
장면을 준비했습니다. 이거잖아요.
Let's take a look.
이때 안쪽에서 전투했을 때 이때는 어떤 상황이었어요?
이때요? 그냥 이때 기분이 너무 좋았어요. 일단
Well, I was really happy because I knew that we were gonna win.
아 끝났구나.
But after I used my ult, I knew that we we're gonna win the game for sure.
최고의 장면이 있었기 때문에 이 이후는 뭐 끝났다는 생각이 있었을 것 같은데요.
네.
근데 지네어하면 이거는 뭐 그레이 선수에게도 한번 물어보고 싶은 질문인데 사실 지네어하면은 그동안 안 좋은 흐름들은 굉장히 다 좋았었는데
Well, speaking of Gnair as a whole team,
그래서 굉장히 길어지는 거 아니야? 뭐 이런 얘기 있었는데
you guys are really known as teams with longer game time, right?
가지고 있는 팬 여러분께 한 말씀 해주신다면요. 이건
What are your comments about that?
저희가 끌려고 그렇게 시간이 오래 걸리는
Well, we never intended to make longer games, but we just tried our best to win the game, and that ended up with longer games.
게 우연치 않게 그렇게 된 것 같아요.
길어지는 건 경기가 아니라 나의 승리에 대한 집념이다.
So it's not the game that matters; it's our will to win the game.
그런 게 아니겠습니까? 사실 그 공정
So you guys are holding teddy bears.
떨지 말라는 의미였는데
we gave it to you to calm you down. I think Grace seemed really calm.
뭐가요? 신기해?
안 되는 것 같아요.
긴장이 안 되는 것 같아요?
I actually don't feel really nervous.
저 4살 차이가. 23살.
23살.
Soan is
형이 이렇게 떨고 있는데
older than me,
떨지 말라고.
이마에 땀 너무
but I think he's more nervous than me.
아니, 얘는 뭐 그러면은 뭐 닦아요.
I think he's sweating a lot, so
알겠습니까?
we're gonna use teddy bear to get it off.
아, 그 그레이스에게 또 궁금한 질문들이 또 하나 나왔어요. 뭐 경기 중에
We also want to ask Grace
자세가
about your posture. You're always sitting in a correct posture.
뭐 이런 느낌이 있더라고요. 굉장히 꿋꿋한 자세로 게임을 하는데 뭐가 이게 뭐 징크스가 있는 거예요? 아니면 뭐
What's your trick, or why do you do that?
원래 집에서는
I think I just feel most comfortable in the posture, but actually in the gaming house I just sit like more comfortably. But in the gaming booth, yeah, I just sit in a straight posture to keep focused.
점점 그레이스 이제 드디어 진행의 가운데 아주 단단한 선수가 들어왔구나 하는 생각을 했는데 그 팬들을 위해서 그레이스 선수
So a lot of people are cheering for you, Grace. So any message for them?
승리 거둬서 좋은데
I'm really happy that we 2-0 today, and we're gonna make sure to win the next match just like today.
그레이스 선수와 만나봤고요. 소환 선수 역시
And Soan also
너무 많이 나니까 빨리 마무리.
message for your fans.
소환 선수 이게 다 오늘의 그 패기 덕분에 지금 경기의 그 뭐야 뜨거움이
You still look really nervous and you're sweating a lot.
땀도 안 나요.
Are you gonna get used to MVP interview in the near future?
지금 이 선전에 대해서 지금 기뻐하시면서 박수도 보내주고 계신데 팬 여러분께 말씀을
So last message for your fans, please.
팬 여러분 응원해 주셔서
Thank you for supporting for us.
하지만 발전하여 보고
We're gonna keep on improving our performance, so we're gonna become a stronger team. Thank you.
만나봤습니다. 이 멋진 플레이 앞으로도
And this will be the end of the interview. Thank you for listening.
인터뷰 나눠봤습니다.
Well, thank you, Ji-sun, for the translation. And it was a ball of a game, wasn't it, Pop? I really enjoyed Jinner's play today. They look stronger every time we see him.
Also enjoyed Raze being so near yet so far multiple times in this game. Wasn't to be. Against his old squad here, Jinner ended up reigning supreme. 2 kills onto Umti early, and you would have thought, okay, maybe it's going to be Umti's MVP day. But So1 turned on the style and the split push, doing so much work against Roach. Vladimir, a non-factor for the entire game. This one was actually turned around well by Kongdoo Monster when they were still pretty competitive in the game. So you thought, okay, maybe it will be the even second game. But from here, Jinner made some good decisions. Grace almost pulled off a career play by first doing so much damage to Raze. Zonia's through the trouble bubble that would have killed him, and the paddle star. We didn't even show the second part of that. We had to skip it because we had a sick replay to show you here. Kongdoo Monster thought they had an escape. They thought they were far enough away from the... No, they were not.
Teddy and Umti actually got hit by a paddle star there in that fight, and they got super low, but just didn't matter. It was too late.
True damage. Wait for it. True damage. The last proc from the Elder Dragon taking him out.
Yeah.
That would have been frustrating. And then we had some bouncy castle bowling action that ended in the game for Jinner GreenWings.
I think Ornn is still going to be good, even with the increase to his cooldown on his ultimate. It'll come like 10, 15 seconds later, but even so, it's still going to
laning
be
the
good.
W is a pretty big nerf. That's why I think support only, but I think some people will still play it top because the ultimate is an incredible ability. Cooldown on 8.1, insanely low, and these game times, not as long as we would have thought. 40 minutes, 43 minutes. It was not 90 minutes the dream today. Jinner GreenWings go down with a 2-0 victory here over Kongdoo Monster. Going to be feeling good about that. And once again, their season where they almost finished top 5 last season. 5th place is the last place in the playoffs. 6th place is have that extra long vacation to think about things. Finished 6th last season. Maybe they're once again on the road for challenging for top 5.
Yeah, it says at the top is So1 spread your wings, and he certainly did today. And we talked about it before. If So1 can spread his wings, along with, Umti playing consistently well, Grace showing up big in the mid lane, then they're going to have a lot of great players on their team that can do work. So a K team has dropped out of the top 4, and a J team has taken their spot, sitting at 3-2 right now as the Jinner GreenWings.
KSV top, but they had easy opposition today. KT Rolster and Kingzone still to play this week. Of course, 5 match days of action. Every team will be playing twice. A lot of eyes on SK Telecom T1 trying to get off the foot of the table. Currently 9th, clear of MVP, but really not much else to say. Kongdoo Monster, is this going to be the start of a downfall for them? Very possible. After their struggles in this series, here's the schedule though. Come back, it'll be OGN, so it'll be myself tomorrow over at the OGN Stadium. Kingzone Dragon X against Rox Tigers. Rox Tigers, another team like Kongdoo that's caught in the middle. Kingzone heavily expected to come in strong there. Then Afrika versus BBQ. I think that might be the match of the week for me, Valdez, because Afrika and BBQ really are, just like Jin Air, on the edge of challenging, on the edge of something special. Whichever one comes up with the victory there will be pretty big for their first round robin.
I'm really looking forward to KT versus Jin Air now. After Jin Air proved tonight that they are a better team than Kongdoo, they have a much harder opponent on Wednesday, or rather Thursday, against KT. It's not going to be an easy matchup. They're going up against a team that has superstars and plays a different, more aggressive style. I think they might struggle a bit. I would still predict KT to win, but that'll be another opportunity for Jin Air to try to go for a big upset.
Predictions for that day will be interesting. 9th versus 10th follows it. SK Telecom T1 in their first game of the week. They're the last team to play in week 3, face MVP. They will want to work out all their frustrations about their first 2 weeks on the hapless MVP. You'd make them big favorites to do so, but even who's playing for the team of SK Telecom T1 is still to be known.
You never really know. Is Wolf going to make a return to the jungle? Will he return to support? Is he going to return at all? Are we going to see some new names? Who knows? All questions to be answered. I wonder if anyone would seriously predict MVP to win. I think that's a little bit too much. We talked a little bit before about Faker versus Ian. Definitely one of the matchups there that SKT should be pretty happy about.
Lopsided, I guess the word you would use for that one. MVP, even for a single game, I think it's too much to predict, but SK Telecom T1, it's surely time for them to turn it around, right?
Right. I mean, this is going to be a nice little game under their belt to kind of move up from, but
it's going to be a little bit of a break for you and I. Spo TV next match day, not till Sunday.
Don't have the Friday. So either way, guys, we'll see you next time on Sunday, but make sure to watch more LCK. Until then, see you later.